He went west and I went east. He went to UCLA and I came to Boston to teach. We stayed in touch and we became much more intellectually engaged in the mid 1980s when, for the first time, nationally representative data on family wealth became available from one survey in the United States. Previous to that, the only data sources we had for wealth was really about the very, very wealthy, which came from the Federal Reserve Board, and from some tax data and inheritance data, all of which skewed our understanding to those essentially at the very, very top. So, for some slightly different and intersecting reasons, Melvin Oliver and I were both really intrigued with what this data set might tell us. So, highest on both of our lists is that we had, now we're young, we had the idea that it might tell us something about affirmative action, that looking at something that was passed on in the past historically might break a log jam. And at that point, if you will, if I can characterize, the log jam seemed to be, um, on one side, folks saying, well, the past was horrible, but it doesn't matter to what's happening today and what's going to happen tomorrow. And on the other side, if you will, a lot of us were saying, that the past is really prologue. And it was more or less a rhetorical debate. We didn't have any data, if you will, that could allow us to, are there questions that we could ask? So family wealth, we thought might allow us to look at that. And that really was, if you will, the ground zero animating intellectual inspiration for both Melvin Oliver and myself. Um, Once we started to get into it, of course, we had like zero idea about about what else might be intriguing, and much less how to begin analyzing and thinking about family wealth. So for us, the we didn't have any models in the way of, there were no books, no articles. There was virtually nothing to bounce off against, as sort of traditional academics do. We test other people's theories because we like it or we don't like it, or we want to clean out a little corner in a paradigm somewhere, and extend our knowledge that way. So we started to do that, and we were making some stuff up as we went along. And if you don't mind, let me give you one quick example. So at some point, when we were writing, we first wrote two articles before we kind of persuaded each, and it's kind of that mutual discovery that goes on. And we would have, usually, since my family then was, my parents were both still alive then in Los Angeles, I would come out either by myself or with my family, and Melvin and I would just spend, like, long nights together, working on drafting stuff, or looking at data. So that's the origin story, if you will, of our interest in race and wealth. Well, the data set was the panel study of income dynamics, and the first wave on family wealth was 1984. So the data set became available probably around 86, would have been about right. And so that's when we started to dig into it.